What's going on, puckheads? It's been a minute, but we welcome you back in. I'm your host, Reason, and Jordan. I should have actually went with that, so people don't know who the hell I am. But you can follow me on Twitter at @_real_reason. But I'm Jordan, and I'm joined by my brother and co-host Nick. How you doing tonight, Nick?
Good, Jordan. How are you doing tonight?
I'm not too bad, bro. Trying to get out of repetition here, bro.
That's awesome. That's awesome. First off, I just want to I was on the podcast yesterday, Tip of the Iceberg with Nick and Nick. It was all three Nicks on there yesterday. Had a great time. You can follow them on Instagram at Iceberg Podcast, and they're a great follow. Good bunch of guys, and good hockey talk yesterday.
Yeah, I was telling you, I listened to about like 20 minutes of it earlier today. Then I got out of there just in the nick of time.
You're on fire tonight, eh? That's why you're called The Reason. Okay.
So yeah, man. A lot has happened since we've been up here last. The Pittsburgh Penguins have officially clinched first place in their division for the first time since when, Nick?
2013, 2014.
Yeah, I think it is actually. You got that right. So yeah, it's been quite some time since we've actually won the division. Mm-hmm. Before we get into the regular season review here, how surprised are you that they ended up clawing their way to the top of the division when we started this podcast and we were worried if they'd even make the playoffs?
Yeah, it's really surprising. Like you said in the beginning when we started this podcast, even when the Penguins started at the beginning of the year, there were so many question marks. Their back end, their defense, their lack of scoring in the beginning of the year. Jim Rutherford quit. Who was the GM going to be? We brought in Brian Burke as the president of operations. A lot of changes. And you know what? You asked me that question about 2013 and 2014. Interesting enough, I sort of get the chills when I think of the Penguins coming first place in the division. And the reason why
last time.
Yeah, and this is why as a Penguins fan, I sort of like the Penguins being the underdog because they seem to play a better spoiler than they do when expectations are high.
Yeah, but we talked over and over and over again about, how imperative it was that they get home ice advantage.
Yeah, for sure. And I think, coming first place or second place in the division was definitely mainstream for the Penguins to get that home ice advantage. I think the matchup, and we'll talk about it in a second, but you're right. The home ice advantage was huge. It is huge for the Penguins. I believe it was just tweeted out a few hours ago that, they'll be allowed 50% capacity for PPG starting May 17th. So that'll be, I believe, really good for the Penguins as well as to have a half of a full house, let's say.
And I remember that 2013, 2014, when we lost to the Rangers, right, in the second round. Do you remember where I was? Remember I was in Florida?
No,
remember that? I was in Florida and I was losing my shiznit when we lost that game, bro. I'll never forget that. That was because me and my wife, we own a place down in Kissimmee, Florida, right outside of Orlando. But that was the one year where we decided to stay on the Disney grounds. And I remember watching that, Martin St. Louis lost his mother. Lundqvist stood on his head in that final game.
Yeah.
And I remember watching that just being like, are you freaking kidding me right now? In all fairness, though, I mean, let's be honest with ourselves. The next round, we would have faced Montreal, and we always know how it goes when we face the Montreal Canadiens for some reason. So
yeah, that series, everything changed when St. Louis' mother passed away. It was definitely a game changer for that team. They rallied around him, and I think, man, if my memory serves me right, we got shut out in Game 7.
We did.
At home.
Lundqvist stood on his head. Remember?
Yeah. So, that's why, again, being the favorite sometimes, high expectations. being the underdog, nobody really counts on you. If you look at the Stanley Cup odds right now, like we're 6th or 7th to win the cup, which I'm fine with.
13, we're like plus 1,300 or something like that.
Something like that, right? So, I think the matchup is good though, for sure. But again, looking at the turnaround with this team, I think March, and we talked about it, the last podcast, March really was huge. Hockey. Yeah.
All right, so let's get into the regular season review here. So the Penguins, they end up finishing 37, 16 and 3, 77 points over 56 games played. When you go talk about the goals for, the goals against differential, they were the best in the East, the Mass Mutual East. They were plus 40. Boston was a plus 33, and we talk about how defensive and how structured they play the game, but we ended up, being a better plus. Now, the one that does stand out is, we were 22-4-2 at home. But if you remember, when we go back to, even in March, we were on that line of just under or just, we were fluctuating between just under to just at 500 on the road.
Right.
And we ended 3 games above 500 on the road, 15-12-1. And we closed out the season on a 3-game win streak, albeit it wasn't pretty in that game against the Sabres, where we won 1-0 there. What are your, when you look back on this season, we lost Kapanen for an extended period of time, and in a 56-game season that matters, we lost Gino for, over 20 games. We've lost Tanev. Tanev's been in and out. We lost Teddy Bluger for a little bit. Was in your opinion, because Jeff Carter had that huge game a couple of games ago, was that a really good addition by Burke and Hextall? And do you think that's, now we're so deep down the middle like we were in those 2016, 2017 runs? Do you think this is an addition that could pay off? I'm not going to, put the word out there and jinx us, but could this move pay dividends off in the long run? Because in the short term, it's paid off dividends, no?
Having that depth at the center position, we talked about this before. You look at 09 Cup run, we had the 3-headed monster. We had Crosby, we had Malkin, we had Jordan Stahl. You go back to, and we had Craig Adams at the 4th line center position, which is pretty solid then. You look at the 2016 run, we all know about that. Sid, Gino, HBK, Nick Bonino, Matty Cullen.
How about that sandwich at
the HBK?
What was that? Permantis?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That was a massive sandwich, right? If you saw Phil Kessel with his 900th.
Do you see that?
Yeah, I think he's had a few. I think he's a few of those for sure, man. Right? I was wondering if that was Phil Kessel or John Daly,
bro,
or Bill Daly, whatever that golfer's name is. John Daly.
Looked like I decided to get up off the couch and go play for the Coyotes, bro.
I thought that might have been in your studio.
I even got the flow right now, like I'm too, bro.
I thought that was you in the studio with a puck from Oakville Arena, maybe.
Bro, are they putting cherry Cokes in his Gatorade bottles? What's going on there, bro?
Yeah, interesting. That was it was an interesting photo, but that sandwich was pretty awesome. We started off that road trip in style that time, but. Again, 2016, 2017, those teams were deep at the center position. All 4 centers were contributing. You could roll four lines and get production from every line. And it seems like we're heading down the right direction, the same direction as those 2016, 2017 teams. Crosby, Malkin, we'll talk about him in a second, and then Carter, and then Teddy Bluger. So pretty deep. If you look at the season in all, we led the league in goals for at 193 goals for. Pretty impressive. Crazy for all the man games.
And how slow of a start Sydney had to the season, right?
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, it's for sure. Even Getzel started off a little slow too, as well.
Gino only had like 7 or 8 goals this year too.
He finished with 8. He finished with 8
he didn't
goals,
even pot anything really either, right?
Right. So, And then you add the addition of Jeff Carter. He comes in, and my boys always make fun of me. My boys, my two sons, because I'm like, he has the shoot first mentality. I use that all the time. You know what? If you shoot the puck, good things happen. And even if you don't score, you hit the net, you get a rebound, you get a greasy goal. It helps the team, right? So
and this core needs someone like that more than any other core, bro.
Right, yeah.
Always looking for the pretty pass.
100%. It's got to look pretty. It's got to hit the highlight reels, right? So, and then it goes against Jordan as well. We finished 17th in the league with 155 goals against. Not too bad. But there are a couple things that I brought up on the podcast yesterday with those boys there that I am concerned with the Penguins game right now. If you look at the power play, we finished off with a 23.7%, fourth in the NHL, which is really
fourth now,
which is awesome. And there's still some teams that play. Bro. That's again, we were talking about that, and they're at 77.4%. They're 26th in the league.
Got to be over 80, bro.
You got to be over 80, and to win the cup. And now, hey, they might do it at this percentage, but normally you see those cup winners top 10, top 12, top 15. One of those.
You get it. You have an 82% penalty kill in the playoffs, though. You got a good shot.
Yeah, for sure. And again, if you look at the Penguins with their penalty kill, that tandem of Bluger and Tanev, they were kicking some ass. They were really strong on that kill. So having Tanev crazy, back,
bro? As I've watched this team with Carter out there, I think about you all the time because you're gonna get your wish.
What's
Bluger and Tanev on the fourth line?
Yeah, but the question I have for you:
is Sully gonna bump Tanev up?
No, Mr. Czar, cement feet, cement hands. Does he stay in the lineup, or do we keep the savior in Sevier in the lineup?
You got to get rid of Sevier, bro.
But okay, so I've been talking about Sevier. I've been hard on him all season. If you look at his production recently, he's had some 2-point games. He's working the puck down low. He's actually moving his feet. He's finding the open guy. What has Czar done? What, except for the goal he scored in Washington?
It's his big body, I think, why they like him.
Well, I know Sully's not going to deviate from that Bluger line, so you're going to see Czar and Tanev, like you said, on the fourth line, and I love that. That's where I think the Penguins have any team in the East.
It's Sevier.
It's Sevier.
He's a sieve out there, bro. But yo, I gotta ask you, what have you thought of that boy Freddie Hockey on the third line, bro?
I've been talking about Freddie Hockey, man. Like that jersey, I think I got to order at number 11. Forget the Jordan Stahl area. It's the Freddie Hockey era of number 11 in Penguins history, right? So no joke, he's playing great. He fits in perfect with that line. You have Carter, which is he's fast when he gets the puck through the neutral zone, but then he has two speedy wingers with McCann and Freddie Hockey. It's a great line. I love to watch it.
Too, eh?
Yeah. The question mark I have for you, Jordan, is our buddy, the Russian Bear 71. What? And the funny thing is that when I look at the Penguins roster, one of the things I look at right now is, and if you're gonna for Pittsburgh to have success, I was asked yesterday, for Pittsburgh to have success, who are you going to count on the most? Of course, we're going to say the captain, 87, Sidney Crosby.
Gino has to be right there, though.
Exactly.
Better production than what you've gotten from him.
Bang on.
Not even just this year, but in the last two playoffs.
Bang on. For Pittsburgh to have a chance to get out of the East, get to the Eastern, whatever conference final they're called, you need Gino.
The Manulife Conference Finals.
I don't know. Oakville Place Arena division.
The progressive,
right? The TD Scotiabank, Pizza, Little Caesars division. right? So,
Bro, I just call it the East. I can't even call it the Mass Mutual. What is this nonsense, bro?
well, I think if you were naming one of the divisions, you might want to call it Papa John's Pizza Division, right?
Oh, why are you gonna take that shot, eh? Eh?
Right? So,
The other one, the China Walk Western Conference.
yeah, exactly. Right. So, no, but Geno's has to be an integral part to this team going forward.
If him and Kapanen find that chemistry and that rhythm they had before each of them got hurt, that second line will produce.
For sure.
It will be scary.
I think even looking at Zucker or Zucker.
And Jari's got to be right there with Crosby and Evgeny. Those have got to be your three best players. Because the defense, even with that, shit show Matheson, they'll still take care of themselves, man. They've actually been played pretty decently. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm still in shock that that I'm trying to come out of it that I said Letang was our best player of February. So I still haven't gotten over that, but they'll take care of themselves on the back end. It's going to be the goalie and 87 and 71 need to lead the way.
For sure. And I agree with you. I think, if you look at the back end there, it was quite a surprise, I think, for everybody that, they were solid all the way around. Even, talking about my boy Bobby CC, solid year. You're talking about Mike Matheson. He's really come about to be his foot speed, his recovery.
He's a lot better than he was in the first quarter of the season,
for sure. And then Chris Letang, steady. Dumo when there was an amazing stat. I don't have it on me, but when Dumo was in the lineup, they're like 25-5, just crazy stat. He's been playing well too. So you're right. The back end, I'm not worried about the back end. Matheson's been practicing. I had it on our Instagram, Pens and Pucks. He practiced yesterday. He practiced today. He's wearing a full cage. So there must be some type of either, bone fracture in his face. He probably doesn't have a broken jaw. He didn't have to have surgery, but he'll have that full cage on probably going into the first game of the playoffs. So the back end is solidified, Jordan. Jari, the spotlight's on him. Both goalies had a 900, over 900% save percentage, which is great.
You know what's crazy though? I just want to point it out to you.
Yeah.
Either one kind of always suck in relief, and then they get to start the next game and they stand on their head. Don't you find that kind of odd? Like one or the other will come in relief, they'll get lit up a little bit for 3 or 4 goals, then they'll start the next game and they'll allow 2 goals max or the 1 and play a pretty awesome game. And it's like, why can't you show me that when you're coming in relief? Like I get they're cold, but I don't know, it's kind of odd to me.
I'm going to put it out there for you, Jordan, because again, being a coach, just being a coach and sort of trying to understand goalies because they're oddballs, no matter what. Yeah. But the goalies are different in terms of, I think with Jari and DeSmith, they're very confident of each other. So when, let's say DeSmith lets in 2 or 3 goals, he gets pulled. I don't think that Jari even thinks that when DeSmith starts that game, he's going to see the pipes. I think he's got his baseball hat on.
Reading the Pittsburgh Times on
exactly right. He's on the bench, with his phone, right, on
playing
Instagram, watching. He's checking out Instagram, Pens and Pucks, seeing what we're saying about him.
Which next model he's going to DM? So looking at pictures of Evgeny Malkin's wife.
Oh wow, we're going hardcore here tonight.
So, you called him the Russian Bear. I want to call him the Model Masher.
Oh, there you go. Get a jersey like that, 71.
The Model Masher on the back. I love it.
Yeah. So you're right. Like again, Jari has to really the spotlight's on him. He's got to stand on his head. He's got to, like you said, 87, 71. And Jari, the one thing I am confident in is, Jari did win the Memorial Cup back in the day here in the junior league with the Edmonton Oil Kings. So he knows what the pressure is all about.
Remember when we drafted him, when me and you talked after the draft, that was even one of the things that I was most excited about.
Right.
Because obviously when we draft these kids, we obviously, we hit the internet, we look into them right away. And there was, who was that? It was the same draft that the Montreal Canadiens took that goalie I wanted. Not Price, there was another goalie. He went at the top of the second round or the end of the first round that year.
Has he played in the NHL or is he still in the minors?
Okay, you talk. I'll look it up.
All right. So we got a comment. Who don't like hockey fistfights? Check. I guess this is one of your boys here that's asking about fistfights.
Who don't like hockey fistfights? Check. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, that's,
Maybe, yeah.
That's a guy from Finside. That's his name.
Yeah. We always like to see some knuckles being dropped out there for sure. If you watched the Washington and Rangers game last week, the first puck drop, there was 4 or 5 fights. So,
because Colin Wilson should have been, like, this guy should have been expelled from the league.
Right. But yeah, the goalie might have been. If you're talking, I don't think
it was Zachary Fucali.
Oh, Fucali,
yeah.
He was he
went
actually,
36 and Jari went 44.
Yeah, I believe he was the World Junior goalie for Team Canada.
How the hell do I remember that, bro? Jesus
I don't know,
Christ.
I don't know.
But I remember that kid was like legit. You know?
Yeah,
I mean?
He was.
Has he played He hasn't played yet, has he?
Yeah, he had some games, a little stint. What team did he get drafted by?
Got drafted by Montreal.
Yeah,
it says he's only played in the AHL.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he's still around. He might be on their farm team. They have the other kid now, Primo, that has manned the pipes there for Price since he's been out.
Guess where he is? On August 19, 2020, the Washington Capitals signed him as a free agent to a 1-year, 2-way contract. Mm-hmm. So he never worked out. And you're right. He won the 2015 gold on the IIHF under 20. Yeah.
So
he's won 2 Spangler Cups.
Good goalie, but again, it's tough. It's tough to make the pros. It's tough to, every step to get there. You go from, your midget year, your minor hockey, then it's junior A, and then it's the AHL or whatever pro hockey league, and then it's the NHL. It's every step is a journey. It definitely takes your toll on you if you're not mentally sound and mentally safe and mentally ready to prepared. But anyways, getting back to the Penguins here. Another solid season, point a game for Sid. Fantastic year. He really, picked up the slack in March, especially when Gino went down. The question I have for you, Jordan, and I think, the biggest testament to this team is, and I think even with Chris Letang, is when Berkey and Hextall got hired, the team totally changed. Their mindset.
Well, we talked about that, right? They felt they were basically on they were basically, what do you call it? They were, it was basically an interview process to an extent, right? Like, they were put on notice that if they didn't perform well, it would probably be good night, see you later.
Well, I don't know if you remember this commercial, and I'm sure you do.
Oh, here we go.
When Berkey was in Toronto, and he had a commercial on one of the radio stations. And it was for it was for the Toronto Marlies, and Berkey would say, "And boys, every game is a tryout." So basically, when Berkey came aboard, right? And I'm going to say this tonight on May 11th, 10:01 Eastern Time. Penguins don't go far or even out of the East. 71 will not be a Penguin next season.
Still, even after winning the division, you say that, huh?
Yep.
Wow. Bold statement. And let's get into the playoffs preview a little bit here because we've kind of been talking about it. It looks like, well, it doesn't look like, it is a fact that we're going to be lined up with the New York Islanders, a team coached by a guy who's been a thorn on our side going back to his last season in Washington. The Islanders have played us well. The last couple playoff appearances here, bro. The thing is now we got the home ice advantage. Between Trotz and this team, the Islanders here, are you worried about facing Trotz, who, let's be honest, Nick, he has Mike Sullivan's number on speed dial. It's number 1.
Yeah.
Like, it's boom, clicks it, and it's over.
Right.
They're the type of team where, brother, they get up early on you and they go into that trap game and they just shut us down and they stifle us and we can't break through it. And Trotz just knows how to play us now. It's clear we're a more talented team than they are right now, even with the additions they made at the trade deadline. We're a more talented team and we're a deeper team than they are. Are you worried because this is a team that sent us packing
a couple years ago?
2 years ago.
Yeah.
Are you worried about this? And the scary thing about it, and I always go back to it when we talk privately, they sent us packing in Trotz's first year, right after Trotz sent us packing in his year with the Washington. So that's why I say he's got us on speed dial. He's beat us with two different rosters in the playoffs and won the Islanders the second time around. That was far less talented than the Capitals roster he had. So it wasn't even a matter of talent. It's a matter of he knows how to play us. He's got us figured out. Scheme, strategy. He's got us figured out.
There's a couple of things when it comes to New York Islanders, and you're bang on there with Barry Trotz. He was going to be the difference maker on my end. It's going to be not only the New York Islanders against the Pittsburgh Penguins. It will be Mike Sullivan versus Barry Trotz. Who's going to win the line matchups? Who's going to win all the head games? If you look at the Islanders season overall, they scored 152 goals. They came 19th overall in the league. They were a stingy bunch, like they always are under a Trotz system. They were second in the league with 125 goals against, second in the league. So Penguin fans, hear that. Their penalty kill is sixth in the league at 83.7%. Their power play is 21st in the league at 18.8.
And here's the thing, Nick. Yeah. We go back to the home ice advantage that we kept stressing over the last couple episodes. They're 11, 13, and 4 on the road, but at home, they're 21, 4, and 3. Right. Literally, the difference between us and them is an overtime loss.
Yeah, and also too, they're talking about in Long Island that they want to have 100% capacity, and we all know how that is over there when they get a full house. I was sort of hoping that they wouldn't have that packed house because Islander fans can be pretty rowdy and pretty, nasty. Let's say it's in a hostile environment. I don't know how the Penguins. This group is a little different though than the team 2 years ago. I think we're younger, number one, and we're faster. We have more depth. I think, the goaltending, I think we're just a better team than 2 years ago. The interesting thing though, can Sully coach properly in terms of line matching, in terms of getting guys out in certain situations? That's the big test.
Nick, no matter whether that's against, sorry to cut you off, whether that's against the Islanders or whoever, that's never been one of his strengths.
Right, exactly. We were talking yesterday about, Boston, matching up against Boston, and he's so stubborn and he wants to put Sid against that Bergeron line. So if they have Sid against, let's say Cizikas, that line there, that shutdown line, he needs to get Sid away from that line. Or if they put, Carl Palmieri's line against them, he's got to find different ways to get certain players out in different situations, take advantage of that home ice advantage. To me, if you're going to have home ice, you have to take advantage of it. If you're just going to, play to what Trotz wants to play, you're going to lose. Interesting that Varlamov last night, he did leave the game with an injury. So I'm not sure the status of him for game one. I'm sure he'll probably be ready. But again, I do think we're deeper. All the way around. Our offense is much more, like, way better than the Isles, but it's that stingy defense, Jordan. Stingy.
Do you put a lot of stock into the fact that we were 4-2-2 against them this year, or do you look at it as, 6 of those 8 games were played in February alone, and these two teams have changed a lot since then?
Yeah, and I think the season record really doesn't tell the story of these two teams. I think Pittsburgh went in a different direction, and so did the Islanders. The Islanders were in first place at one point, and the Penguins were at fourth place. So things changed. I wouldn't go by, again, you got to throw out all the stats when it comes to, we talk about stats, we're talking about stats, but when that puck drops, that first playoff game, nobody remembers the regular season. Nobody cares. It's all about what you do that game and going forward in the playoffs. So, you listen to Paul Maurice today, okay? On TSN, the Jets are 1-9 in their last 10 games. And he said, you know what? We're in the playoffs. Anything can happen.
Oh, I agree. And you know what's another crazy little stat too? The top point getter for the New York Islanders this year was Matthew Barzal. 17 goals, 28 assists for 45 points. 45 points would have only been good for third on the Pittsburgh Penguins because Chris Letang had 7 goals and 38 assists.
Yeah.
Gensel had more points with 57. And of course, Sidney had 62. You go look at the distribution of points between our lineup, and it's actually much better than what it is in New York right now. Obviously we just talked about it. Home ice advantage is going to be a key. What about the goaltending matchup? For some reason, Barry Trotz and his goalie coach, Mitch Korn, they get the best out of their goaltending situation. And this year, on full strength save percentage, the New York Islanders were .931, which was third best in the NHL, bro. When we faced them in 2018, 2019, they were at 936, which was first in the NHL. What are your thoughts on the fact that, Semyon Varlamov, he has a 937 full strength save percentage and an overall 929 save percentage? That's second in the NHL. While rookie Ilya Sorokin, he's got a .90 full strength save percentage and .918 overall save percentage. This is a team that also really doesn't have one of them locked in as a number one. Like Varlamov has started 16 of the last 30 Islander games, but Sorokin started 14 out of those. So it's kind of like they're going to have to go with one of these guys, right? Like the difference is Varlamov has playoff experience, right? He's got 44 playoff starts and he's got a 24-20 record and a .917 save percentage in the playoffs. While Jari, you know what I mean? He's not how do I say this? Like, he's not only not experienced, we don't really know what we're getting with him. I mean, and you go back to the first round of the 2019 playoffs, you remember Robin Lehner only allowed 6 goals in 4 games?
Yeah.
Remember he had a 956 save percentage standing on his head?
Yeah.
So, we talk about the home ice. Is the goaltending going to be just as critical in this series in your mind?
Yeah. So in my eyes here, Jordan, I'm not worried about the Islander goaltending at all. I think Varlamov, he definitely, I'm not a big believer of him. Sorokin, I'm not worried about the goaltending at all. I think DeSmith and Jari are hands-on better than both those goalies. The only thing, again, is with the Islanders, they collapse down low. They protect the front of the net. Not a lot of rebounds get out. So again, for the Penguins to get offense, it's going to have to be dirty. It can't be perimeter hockey. Get pucks to the net. Varlamov goes down in that butterfly position. He's a smaller goalie. You got to go up high with him, 6 hole below the blocker. And McCann's famous for that. I'm not really worried at all with the goaltending. I think with the offense that Pittsburgh has, they should be able to put some pucks behind both goalies.
I mean, you speak about offense, and it's kind of been an issue for the New York Islanders. I mean, they've only got 78 goals over the last 29 games right now. That's about 2.68 goals a game. Even strength goal scoring has been a massive issue for them. They just have 22 even strength goals in the last 14 games. Everyone thought Zajac and Palmieri were going to change that, but they've just combined for 3 total goals and 6 points in 30 combined games between the two of them, while the Penguins have kind of come on. If you go back from March 11th to where we're sitting today, Pittsburgh has led the league with 115 goals in 29 games in that span for 3.7 goals per game. Jeff Carter alone, since we added him, he's got 9 goals as a Pittsburgh Penguin. Buddy, he's outscoring Zajac and Paul Mary if you put them together. And we talked about Malkin coming back. Brandon Tanev is supposed to come back. So, do you think the Islanders will get out of that rut against us? And do you think we'll be able to keep the offensive wheels churning against this team?
I think definitely the offense is just it'll produce. Like I said, it's deep for the Penguins from 1 to 4. In terms of their lines, they can put the puck in the net. I'm not concerned at all with the offense. The only thing I am concerned with, and I see some comments on the side, we got a Stars fan as well. We'll get to the playoffs. We'll talk about, maybe a little bit about Dallas not making the playoffs, as well as the Panther fan here. We'll get into some of the playoff predictions in a bit. But in terms of talking about the Islanders defense and the Islanders offense, Jordan, you know what? I think this is it's a perfect matchup for Pittsburgh. We have a lot of offense. You talk about Palmieri and Zajac. Those are secondary players. I don't even think Zajac right now is I would look at him as being a fourth line center. Palmieri is a secondary player. He needs to play with 2 strong players on his line to produce. He's a player that goes to the net, gets 30 goals. He's not going to create offense on his own. He needs somebody to create that offense, and then he'll score those top ins or those greasy goals. The biggest thing for me is if you look at the Buffalo series that we just finished here, Jordan, we gave up some quality chances to a team that has been really, really bad this year. I saw some giveaways on Saturday, some drive-bys. And if anybody doesn't know what a drive-by is, because I got a question yesterday after I was on the podcast, what's a drive-by? So a drive-by is when you're in your defensive zone and that puck is basically going to be, out of your zone, but it doesn't get out of your zone, and you curl. You don't stop. And you come back to the zone, you curl out of the zone. So you're sort of like, you're just curling, you're going in motion, you're not putting the brakes on and getting back. And what happens is when you curl out of that zone, you leave your other forwards and other D shorthanded because you're out of the play. So it's all about stops and starts, getting the pucks off the glass. The defensive zone, Jordan, for me, the month of April for Pittsburgh has not been like, they went something like 10-3-1 in April. Okay. But they gave up goals of 7-6. They gave up goals to the Sabres, 4 goals. Pretty. It wasn't pretty.
The win-loss line doesn't tell the whole story, basically.
Right. And so, even the Pittsburgh media mentioned that on Saturday. Like, for us to be even depending on teams to win in regulation and get first place. Like, we gave up 2 points to Buffalo in their barn a couple weeks ago. Like, we should have had this locked up. You lost the Buffalo Sabres, or, you let in 6 goals in the third period to the New Jersey Devils. Like, to me, the offense is not the concern right now. It's just playing defense as a team. And the one thing the Islanders can do to you, Jordan, is they can face wash you. They can punch you in the face. They can do that dirty stuff. Okay. If the Penguins fall into that trap and, take retaliatory penalties, that's where we're going to run into issues, right? Like a Matt Martin putting his face into Chris Letang. Is Letang going to react, punch him, and get the penalty? Like, we've seen this Penguin team before, Jordan. We, years back, before Sully was, when Bosma was there, there's been series where we should have won, but they got under our skin. Right? So 2 things worry me with this series is our own zone. We have to clean that up. And number 2, like Sully says, are we going to just play the right way? Or are we going to fall into that trap of the face wash, the punch in the face, the extra play after the whistle? If they fall into that, I will be concerned.
All right, you know what? I will save our series predictions, for our game 1 pregame show. All right, so we'll save that. And all right, so let's keep it rolling.
Yeah.
We'll get back into the NHL playoffs, but something you wanted to talk about first was Connor McDavid and his 100-point season.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, if you give me a minute here, I'll bring the image up that we were talking about.
Yeah.
So before we talk about those numbers on that image,
Mm-hmm.
go ahead and talk about how incredible it is that, he finished with, I think he's at 102 points right now.
He got, I think, a few points last night again.
He's at 102
right?
points right now.
Yeah. So he got a couple points last night.
Draisaitl, his teammate, is at second, 81, 21 points.
Mm.
Marchand finished at 69 for third. Marner, 67. Kane, 66. Matthews and McKinnon tied for 65. And then Crosby's right there for 62. And then Florida Panthers, Jonathan Huberdeau with 61. Let's get your thoughts on him, and I'm going to bring the image up for us.
So again, just incredible stats by Connor. I'll tell you something. I was always a believer of Nathan McKinnon. I was getting into arguments with buddies about, who's the best player in the world in terms of offense, and, what McKinnon did last year and how he played in the bubble. He brought a lot of people's attention to his play. But Connor McDavid has just been a highlight reel every game. His goals have been spectacular. He's on the board. He's unstoppable. You talk about Brad Marchand, Jordan, 69 points. Let me put this stat out to you, because
what a Brad Marchand number, huh?
yeah. I'll tell you a story quickly. One of the kids I coach, he's a goalie, and his dad's a little bit he's a little giddy. He's aggressive guy, big guy, works out, whatever, right? He always wants his son to wear 69 in net, and his son refuses to. So, but that's just a quick side note. Anyways, getting back to Connor, you mentioned Marchand got 69 points. He has 69 points, correct?
Yeah.
Right. Check out this amazing stat. Buddy just sent this to me before we got on. Connor McDavid has 69 assists.
That's crazy.
Right?
That's absolutely crazy, bro.
So you're talking the third. What is he? The third? Does he have the third most points, Marchand, right now?
Marchand, he has the third most. Yes.
Okay.
Draisaitl has 81.
Okay, so Marchand has the third most, and Connor McDavid has as many assists as points as
Brad
Marchand.
Scarier?
Yeah.
Connor McDavid has more assists than Sidney has points. When did we ever think we'd see that?
Right.
And if he didn't have such a slow start, Sidney would probably be number 2 right now.
Yeah, the only difference is that, basically when McDavid gets a point, you sort of have Draisaitl or vice versa, right? So those two together have been, they're a dangerous combo. They rip it up. You're bringing up that.
Let's talk about this right here.
Yeah. So
the fastest to 100 points since 1990, 1991.
Yeah. So my boy, my hero, the jersey in the back there,
Mario Le Magnifique.
Exactly. 66, Mario Lemieux. 38 games, 100 points in 92, 93. Again in 95, 96, 38 games. The great one at 50. And then JJ, Jagger at 52. The Mullet Man, 52 games. And then Connor.
Oh, you know what's crazy?
Yeah.
Jagger and Lemieux in the same year.
Yeah. Right.
95, 96.
Yeah. Yeah. That year there, they had that line that played a lot together. It was Ronnie Francis, I believe, at center, and they had Lemieux on the right and Yags at the left. Lemieux had some injury problems and he wasn't playing center, but they were deadly on the power play. I would love to see how many power play points those two got that year, because it was just fun to watch. They had both those guys at the flank. Yags was on the right-hand side. Lemieux was on the left.
The year for the Panthers fans, that was the year of the rat.
Right. And I think somebody just said, on the comments there, Panthers, Penguins, Eastern Conference Finals 2021, calling it. Interesting. But we'll get into the playoffs a little bit deeper here right after this. But in terms of Connor, again, the question I have for any fan out there, NHL fan, is, the success of Connor, his points, his production. Is he always going to be the guy or the hockey player that's remembered by his individual stats, or is he going to be remembered as a player that goes down in history with winning multiple cups or no cups at all? Because it'll be a shame. It'll be a shame because
getting that feeling, Nick.
He's an elite talent. So I'm going to throw this out to you right now, and this is a question that I'm going to bring up tomorrow on a different podcast. So Austin Matthews, his contract is up in a couple years. McDavid's is up in a few years. We all know if the Leafs, bow out maybe the next couple years, they don't get to the Cup final. Does he take a run to the desert and Matthews goes back to Arizona to his hometown? Does Connor McDavid entertain coming back to Toronto and bringing a cup to Toronto? Like, again, there's some intriguing storylines.
You know what'd be the most beautiful thing?
Tell me.
Imagine if he donned the jersey behind us, bro.
Imagine that.
Gino might be gone. Letang's going to be up there. He may be gone.
Mm-hmm.
Sidney's going to be on his, Sidney can just take that role of the number 2 center behind him.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. Mm-hmm. This is what Pittsburgh has over an Edmonton, over a Toronto, over an Ottawa. We have always known how to build winners.
Yeah.
Even though we went through a dark period, we bounced right back out of it, and we've built winners around star players when we've had them.
Right.
Edmonton hasn't been able to build winners around star players because you know what? Taylor Hall was a star player when he was there. Can't tell me any different. Okay. They haven't been able to win. Now look at Toronto. When they had Sundin, when they went out and they tried to sell the farm and get Leach, when they had all those guys, they couldn't build winners around them.
Yeah, it's the thing is with Edmonton this year, because they're in the North, they might have a shot of getting out of the North this year. And we'll get to the playoffs now, but Connor McDavid, if you're not a hockey fan and you want to watch hockey and learn to love the sport, turn on the TV, turn on the tube, go on YouTube, whatever it is, check out Connor McDavid because he is unbelievable. He's a sick hockey player.
Remember that goal? Like last week he scored, they lined it up and it was identical to the goal Sidney scored.
Sidney scored. Yeah. Just unbelievable talent and just fun to watch. So he makes a hockey fan any day of the week. So
Estefan says, I can't wait for the playoffs. It blows the NBA out of the water. Not even close. Like you said, Irving says Panthers versus Penguins Eastern Conference Finals 2021 calling it.
Yeah. The Stanley Cup.
Let's get into go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say the Stanley Cup is the hardest trophy to win in sports. It's a marathon.
And it's the most exciting playoff. Like, I love my football just as much as I love hockey.
I love football too. Yeah.
But yeah, because you're a huge Packers fan, right?
Yeah.
Feeling the Aaron Rodgers woes right now.
Wow. That thumbnail you had on Finn's side was I rubbed my eyes. I almost had a heart attack. It's calling 911. Right? I want to know where you got number 8 from though. Is that from Mark Recchi or Mark Recchi played for the Penguins or what's happening?
No, that's because number 12 is retired for Bob Greasy.
Oh, okay. All right.
So you wouldn't be able to rock number 12.
Okay.
So anyways, let's start off because we got a Panthers fan out here in the comment section.
Mm-hmm.
That team I've been warning you about all season, baby.
Yeah, you were
my little secondary. I cheer for them. The Carolina Hurricanes clinched the Discover Card Central Division.
Yeah, whatever you want to call it. I'm calling it the Miami Vice Series.
So Carolina will take on Nashville in the first round, and Florida. It's the battle of the Floridians as the Florida Panthers will take on the Tampa Bay Lightning. And I got to say this to you, Nick, and I'm sorry to the Panther fans in the comments right now. That is the worst possible matchup they could have asked for because they're going not only against the defending Stanley Cup champions, but this is the core that's deep and with a great goaltending, great back end. And also, Nick, that core has not only a ton of playoff experience, but a ton of playoff experience together.
Right. And they just won the cup.
Yeah, I just said defending Stanley Cup champions, right?
Yeah.
So, you know what I mean? Like, and let's be honest with ourselves. What was it? Was it 2017 when we beat them in the Eastern Conference Finals? It was
Tampa Bay? 2016,
2016. And that was the debut of the series debut of when Bishop went out and Vasilevsky came in, and he almost took us to the brink in that series, right? So they're going up against a team, because you look at the Florida Panthers, my friend, a lot of their core doesn't have the playoff experience. This is and we talk about it all the time, it's a whole new season when the playoffs start. Okay. So, weaknesses start getting exposed, strengths start getting taken away, the game gets tighter, the game gets rougher up along the boards. A lot more fighting in front of the net. I honestly think the Panthers would have been better off getting a Carolina than getting a Tampa Bay Lightning. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I think, Florida's had a fantastic year, but playing the defending Stanley Cup champions. And my biggest factor in that series will be the goaltending. Vasilevsky, he's probably going to win another Vezina this year. You probably have the Norris defenseman, with Hedman on the back end.
Oh, good.
So good. And then, you still have like Stamkos is still injured. And then, they're just going to add Kucherov here to the list here once he gets back healthy. So he's another dynamic. They're so deep. It's going to be a good series. I think it's going to come down to goaltending. The one thing that I do like though about the Panthers is they have a coach that has won multiple Stanley Cups behind the bench with Joel Quenneville. Great coach. So again, he's been there,
and he knows how to coach stars, right? Look what
exactly
what he did in Chicago, right?
Yeah. So I don't think it's going to be a short series. I think it's going to be a long, tough series. Who's going to come out in that? Is it going to be Drager or Bobrovsky for the Panthers? Who's going to be the starting? Barkov's got to play well. Huberdeau. They have some surprise guys in the back end that have played well this year. Some rookies or whatnot. I have, if we're going to talk about are we talking any predictions today with these teams?
Yeah, let's talk about the other teams' predictions. We'll save ours for.
Okay, we'll save the Penguins before that. But so I unfortunately, Panther fans, I do have Tampa in 6 in this series. I just think, again, experience, more depth up front, and goaltending. That's going to be the difference.
And now Carolina and Nashville, that's why I loved when Lucas's little grading came out there, similar to Sebastian Aho. I'm a huge Sebastian Aho fan.
Yeah.
And what's crazy is they've gained experience over the last couple of years in the playoffs. They're a team that's looked like they're on that brink of taking the next step. Nashville, hell, back in January, early February, we were calling them sellers at the trade deadline.
Yeah.
And they instantly clawed their way into a playoff position. I agree with your 6 with Tampa over Florida. Man, I got Carolina taking care of these guys in 5, bro.
Yeah, I have them in 5 as well. I think Carolina's been rolling, but again, Nashville's played so well over the last 4 to 5 weeks that they're really hot. They believe in themselves. Anything can happen in that series. But I still take Carolina. I have Carolina in 5 as well. Definitely. For sure.
Okay, so going to the East, I almost called it the Metro.
Right.
Going to the East, we'll talk about Pittsburgh and New York on our preview show before we go game 1 on our pregame show. Yeah. Washington and Boston. I got to be honest with you, bro. This is a perfect matchup for us if we get to the second round, because these teams are going to beat the whole living hell out of each other. Right. And whoever comes out, like I actually have Boston upsetting Washington in 7 because of the goaltending. And hopefully Tom Wilson gets his face knocked off would love to see that. I think this is the worst matchup the Capitals could have asked for in the first round, even with home ice advantage.
For sure, I agree with you. I was hoping and praying that it would be Washington and Boston so they can beat the hell out of each other and wear their bodies down. Get into a game 6, game 7. Now I'm going to give you a bold prediction here. I'm going to give you a bold prediction: Boston in 5.
Wow, that is A1 HP sauce bold, bro. I wouldn't be surprised, bro.
The reason why I'm saying that, I don't think Ovi's healthy. He played tonight. The Capitals did beat the Bruins 2-1. What's his name? Kuznetsov is he's on the COVID list there, I think, still. Their chemistry's been a little bit out of whack. Carlson's been hurt. I don't believe in their goaltending. I think both goalies are not up to speed in terms of playing against Tuukka Rask. And I just think the Bruins play just such a great system. And that Bergeron line, the money line there, the perfection line is fantastic. Hull, if you've seen the 2 goals he scored last night, he's starting to come about. They have that second line now with Krejci, Smith, and Hull. So they're not only a 1-line team, they're a 2-line team. Their back end is solid. I don't believe in Washington. I think they're old, they're slow, and I don't think their coach. I like Boston's coach way better than Laviolette. I agree. And I think he'll coach him. Yeah,
bro. Oh my God, there's one face in coaching you want to punch. It would be him.
Right.
All right. So let's go into the North Division here. It's a little bit more muddy when you get to the 3rd and 4th spot right now, but Toronto's clinched 1st. Edmonton's locked in 2nd. How do you see Winnipeg and Montreal panning out? Do you think it's going to stay Winnipeg at 3 and Montreal at 4?
Yeah, I think you'll see Edmonton, Winnipeg. You'll see the Leafs and Montreal,
which is crazy, eh? Toronto and Montreal in the first round. That's going to be a rowdy series. And even Edmonton, Winnipeg, that's a Western Conference matchup. It's funny how, this is a division with, it's 7 teams in it. It's got 3 Eastern teams and it's got 4 Western teams. And the playoffs matchups are looking like you're going to get a Western matchup in the first round with 2 and 3 and an Eastern matchup with 1 and 4. So let's start with Toronto and Montreal. I think Toronto will make quick work of them, bro. I don't think it's going to be, but I say that, but in the back of my head, I say Montreal always plays them tough.
Right.
Doesn't matter how bad the team is.
Carey Price is skating again. Toronto in 4.
There you go. Carey Price is skating again. Toronto in 4. All right. So yeah, you know what? I actually had Toronto in 5.
Okay.
So, all right, Edmonton, Winnipeg. This is a little bit more interesting because Winnipeg's one of those teams where the core has a lot of playoff experience together.
Yeah.
Edmonton, if they had a better goalie, I mean, you've been saying all season you don't believe Mike Smith's going to take them to the promised land here.
Yeah.
Okay. So I feel another bold prediction coming on here, but
no.
I'm going to go Edmonton in 6 here over the Jets. How do you see? Because I just don't think they're going to be able to match up with them offensively.
I agree totally, and I think even though I'm not a big Mike Smith fan, he has played well. The Oilers have clinched that 2nd spot. They have home ice. Their offense is incredible. McDavid's on a roll. I think he's on a mission this year. Draisaitl looks good. They're playing decent, good hockey defensively, not too bad. I'm not a believer in the Winnipeg Jets. I think their back end is not solidified. I thought they would have done something at the trade deadline to bring somebody in like a Savard or something like that. And I'm not a fan of Hellebuck. I think he's way overrated. There's one guy
living off those 2 years ago, right?
Right, yeah, and there's one guy on Overdrive that is always talking about the Jets. Oh, the Jets. Listen, the North Division is shit. First of all, okay, it's men's league hockey at best, right?
Ooh, I love it.
And bottom line is that the Leafs, right now, as a complete team, except for their goaltending, let's say, I'd watch out for the Leafs in that division. But Winnipeg, I'm not a believer. I think Scheifele, I love Scheifele. I think he's a great hockey player. The trade for Laine and Roslovic, okay, for Dubois. I don't know. Dubois that hasn't fit into Winnipeg the way I thought he would. But I'm picking the Oilers in 6, just like you, Jordan. I think the Oilers will get out of that first round. I say it's going to be, McDavid versus Matthews, and that's going to be a barn burner. That's going to be fun.
I'm going to be watching that series for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I love about playoff hockey?
Mhm.
When the kids go to bed, the late night games come on, and you just get to sit there and just enjoy it. All right, so let's go to the Honda Pilot. Or should we call it the Honda Civic? We'll go Honda Pilot West.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's tight, even at the top with Vegas and Colorado. Colorado has 2 games left. Vegas has 1 game left. Minnesota at 3. They have 2 games left. They just by points they can't catch up to Vegas. St. Louis is basically locked in at 4. Do you think this stays the same?
Yep.
So let's start off with Vegas and St. Louis.
Mm-hmm.
I think that is going to be quick work. I think Vegas, the goaltending they have right now is phenomenal. They're playing really good hockey. I say Vegas in 5 max.
Yeah, I have the Vegas Knights in 5 as well. Listen, they're a deep team, 1-4 in lines. Their defense, Pietrangelo, Theodore, all those guys. Pacioretty's had a great season. Just solid all the way around. They're not an expansion team. And then you talk about their goaltending. Marc-Andre Fleury, phenomenal season. He's just showing everybody he still has lots left in his tank. You have Robert Leonard. Like they're a great hockey team. They're going to take care of St. Louis and I say in 5 too as well.
All right. So, and then our last matchup we'll get into preview here. It's an interesting one too. Minnesota, a team you've been telling people who've been watching this show, watch out for them all season.
Here it comes.
Going up against Colorado. And Colorado, you go back to last year, what a run they had. Another team that's looked like, we talked about Carolina earlier, that's on the brink. But you say, here it comes. Yeah. So I'll let you lead this off.
Kaprizov, whatever you want to call him.
Rookie of the year.
The new Russian bear in the NHL. Minnesota in 6.
Wow.
Minnesota in 6. The Wild are for real. They're playing good brand of hockey. I think I'm not a believer in Grubauer in the net. I do think that it's Minnesota's time this year. They've been consistent throughout the year, just like the Florida Panthers. And I think this is a good matchup for Minnesota. They've had success against Colorado throughout the year. I think they're coming out, and it's going to be a surpriser, but I'm picking Minnesota in 6.
I'm actually right there with you. I think this has the chance, I know you're talking about Boston and Washington being an upset. I think this is your next. This has the potential to be the big up. Well, it's not really an upset for you because you've been calling Minnesota all year long. I'm right there with you. And didn't Minnesota win the season series against Colorado?
Yes, yeah, they did. Yeah, they did.
So they've proven during the regular season they can handle the Colorado Avalanche. And I agree with you. I think from the top all the way to the back end for this team, I like their depth more than I like the Avalanche, man. I think the Avalanche are more of a top-heavy team with McKinnon and such. I'm right there with you, man. I think Minnesota, you made me a believer in the Minnesota Wild, man. So, yeah, I think that's a series I'm going to be watching too, like pretty closely because that's going to be on the late night, right? That's going to be the 10:30, 10 p.m. starts, right?
For sure, and there are close ties with the Wild, as you know. So, I'm cheering for the Wild for a family member as well. So, he is on the taxi squad, and he's just waiting, chomping at the bit.
You can tell people who the name is, bro.
All right, so Joseph Cramarosa, he used to actually be with the Penguins organization. He is with the Wild right now. He's on the taxi squad, so cheering for the Wild too to go a long run and for him to get an opportunity and play for the Wild. He played a few games for them back in March, so been cheering for the Wild as well.
Yeah, you froze up a little bit there, so
yeah.
just so everyone knows what Nick was trying to get across is Joseph Cramarosa for the Minnesota Wild is a family friend of Nick's, so he'll be cheering on the Wild. So, all right, man. That's basically it for the topics we wanted to cover. You want to get into some final thoughts here?
Sure. When it comes to the Penguins and the Islanders, I touched on this before. It's going to be playing the right way. It's going to be staying out of the box. It's going to be making sure that, you get that defensive zone cleaned up. 71 has to come and play. We're going to need him to be successful in the playoffs, and it's going to be a great run. It's like Christmas Eve, like we talked about it yesterday on the podcast. We're just waiting for these NHL playoffs to start. I can't wait for it.
Game, I better not get a Sunday afternoon game.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Then you better give us Sunday night, CBC, prime time, 7 p.m. I don't want anything else, bro. All right. Don't give me the shaft here. Okay.
Yeah.
Bend us over in the first game of the NHL playoffs.
And we're gonna have awesome Penguins coverage throughout the playoffs. I know we've been in and out with pens and pucks, but we're definitely gonna be on it for the playoffs. It'll be a fun ride.
Yeah, and you know what popped into my head, brother? If they go all the way this year, this will be the first time in the Stanley Cup in the Sidney Crosby era that me and you won't be able to go to a Stanley Cup game.
Yeah, I was thinking about that the other day too, right? So
wasn't that heartbreaking thinking about that, bro?
It is. And you know what, for all the guys and making these comments on the side, it's awesome. I love to see that. I want to see your predictions next time we get on here, who you guys think are going to come out of these divisions and these series. Make it interesting. I know that, we have somebody asked about Vegas going far. Somebody said Avalanche for life. Yeah, you know what? I'm a big Nate McKinnon fan. I don't have any bias to any of those teams, but it's just going to be fun. It's a great time of the year, and it's pretty cold outside today, but normally April we get that hot weather and get those cold beers out and get ready to go.
Yeah. All right, man. So we will be back once the playoff schedule is announced. We'll be back sooner or later. I mean, the latest time we'll be back is for a pregame of the Penguins' first game of the series against the Islanders, but we'll figure it out. We'll be back again this week, and it's going to be ramped up here on Pens and Pucks over the next couple months as the Stanley Cup playoffs begin to take off. All right. So until next time, we will see you right back here, Puckheads.